history. And on this episode, Jonathan is checking out the firearms from the tactical shooter Rainbow Six Siege.
A rare sighting of the CZ75 automatic. Oh no, let's pause there. What the heck?
If there are any other games, guns, or mechanics that you guys want to see Jonathan
Well, I'm actually kind of interested to see this.
Below. Make sure to subscribe for more videos like this one, and if you'd like to help out the Royal Army's Museum and continue to support Jonathan's work, check out the links in the description of this video. Right, over to Jonathan.
Oh god. Jeez. First weapon up is the C1, not called the Sterling. Technically it isn't a Sterling, I suppose, because it is the Canadian.
It's like the bootleg, right? Bootleg from Black Ops 3.
It's called the Sterling submachine gun, or the Patchett machine carbine to give it its original designation. That's possibly because of legal reasons, because the Sterling company still exists. First impression of the 3D model is pretty good, although they always remind me of Return of the Jedi, because that was the version of the Sterling that was used for the Return of the Jedi Stormtrooper.
Oh wow.
I keep staring though at the rail on the top, because as far as I know, the C1 did not have a rail like that at any point in its real world existence. And that thing looks like I made it. It doesn't look very robust. It's not like a Weaver rail or a Picatinny rail or anything. It's just a sort of flange. And I wouldn't necessarily trust
for the
clamping
scopes
anything to
this
that.
game.
Certainly not an optical sight that needs to retain zero. It kind of comes prepared for the inevitable, tedious tactical upgrades that modern shooters must have, but really, this ain't a modern firearm. This is a 1950s design, 40s design, and it doesn't really sit very well with the universe of Rainbow Six. I'm not really sure why it is. I'm guessing the operator in question is Canadian.
Well, that's actually a good guess. I actually forgot how good Maverick's DMR is.
AR, but importantly it says AR 15.50 or 50, because this is in fact a 50 caliber AR 15. This isn't a fictional variant. This is a real thing. And the 50 caliber round we're talking about here, which is quite a short round to fit in the receiver of the AR, is the 50 Beowulf, a suitably sort of macho name for a ridiculous overpowered cartridge with an absolute ton of recoil and pretty much no tactical applicability. So of course a natural fit for a realistic first-person shooter. So I'm being excessively snarky today. Here's the 50 in action. We have got
excessively
some accessories on
today.
here, and in this case that big tank slash
holy crap, where did they get the gameplay from?
Gameplay
looks like from Copper,
makes
bro.
some sense. If you're prepared to take a big, heavy 50 caliber AR,
this video is Firearms Expert Reacts to Rainbow Six guns.
That recoil. We're not talking 50 BMG recoil here, but it is significantly more than 5.56 or even 7.62. A quick word on tools. I think Siege deserves some credit for the destructible environment.
Yo, chat, anybody in here strapped?
Use, in this case, fire to break through to breach.
Maybe you guys have more knowledge on this video than I do.
Special forces, SWAT, tactical.
I don't know anything
action,
about guns.
And it's something that was limited in the previous games, and they really took it to the next level with Siege. So definitely credit to you there.
Holy crap, that guy sucks.
Noticed before in this series is a phenomenon that's known in the real world of firearms as height over bore.
I'm learning a lot right now.
You have a sight mounted very high above the bore, the hole.
So is this guy only going to get kills in Maverick goals right now?
Because you're looking through the sight, your view of the target is clear, but actually your barrel is below the level of the wall, fence, whatever it is that you're shooting at. And we see that replicated quite faithfully in most modern shooters, I would say, but not here, curiously. The bullet is actually appearing from the sight level. I don't know if that's a conscious decision for gameplay reasons. I'd be surprised, given the sort of attempt to make this a sort of grounded in realism, at least to begin with. It would seem strange to not have the bullet coming out of the barrel, but it doesn't. And we can see that in the clip with the burn through wooden barrier there. Curious.
Why am I 1v1ing Jinxie? I think he said 9 PM. Something like that on next Saturday. Okay, this gun doesn't look realistic at all.
Of the CZ75 automatic. Oh no, let's pause there.
Is the drum mag? Is the extended mag?
What the heck? We've got one here. These
Oh,
are
wait,
not
no, it's real.
particularly common. They're a very niche type of weapon.
Wait, he actually
for
has one. What the
things
heck?
like VIP close protection. They're really hard to aim. You really need to practice quite a bit. Although designers will try to compensate, literally, for the recoil with ported barrels like this one, or other muzzle devices. And that's also, by the way, why we have a spare magazine flipped upside down and attached to the front of the gun. Shown here as an extended magazine. Now, we just have 2 standard capacity magazines, which are standard CZ75 pistol mags with a special base plate that is a sort of dovetail shape. You can slide them on to the front of the gun. I've often thought with this, once you've fired the magazine in the gun and you have
Wait,
to
are
swap
those
it
the
over for
same
your
mag?
spare that's conveniently stored on the
Wait,
gun.
when they reload,
well,
it's always on the
suddenly
it's always on
you've
the
lost
bottom.
your
I just
nice convenient
wait. I actually just realized that they always reload it on the bottom.
vertical front foregrip, and you'd have to just hold it like a conventional pistol. The spare magazine on the game version, as we see this spinning around,
It's
and
used
it
as a
goes
grip.
upside down. It ought to look like that. Feed lips to keep the top round in so it doesn't just fly out, and a visible follower, so-called, because it follows the rounds up and pushes them up into the weapon. This model doesn't have either of those. It's just a sheet metal tube, and then it's just got nothing on the end. So I don't know if that was missed. Well, it has to have been, I guess. Quite intrigued.
I mean, you can never flip the gun that way
game has
anyways.
chosen not to make use of the spare magazine attached to the gun, in light of my speculation that would actually not be very practical in real life, because you'd have to remove your empty magazine, fiddle with the little catch to remove the loaded spare magazine from the front of the gun. That would all be a massive pain, and then you've lost your foregrip. So actually, if you were going to use this for real, I think the game's got it right. You keep a spare magazine on there at all times as a foregrip. The other thing is, especially with an extended magazine, if it's full, as it ought to be, it's hanging off the front of the gun and seriously affecting accuracy. Although, having said that, it would act as a muzzle weight. It could, in theory, improve accuracy. All of this is super theoretical.
That's
I don't
good
think
to know.
anyone in their right minds is clearing rooms with a fully automatic CZ pistol.
Oh my god, what are you gonna say about this?
4, last operator standing. Diffuser located. Disable it.
Jesus. Who did they hire for this gameplay, bro?
Another odd sighting for a modern tactical shooter, the DP, the Degtyarev light machine gun. We featured this before. What on earth is this thing doing in a modern tactical shooter? Don't really get it. I mean, it's undeniably cool to have, presumably, a Russian operator using something as idiosyncratic and anachronistic, just to deploy my word of the day calendar there, as the DP. And it would work, you know, there's no reason why you couldn't use it. Although charging through buildings with a big, long, heavy gun like that is pretty daft.
Oh my god,
It
what
is
the
meant to be
fuck
a
is his
light
rank,
machine
bro?
gun. Needless to say, in the Second World War,
What
there
is
was
his
no
rank?
red dot
Like
sight
quick
or
match, bro.
anything. I'm not sure what sort of sight that's supposed to be that's on there now.
Guys don't have headsets,
If you
bro.
were trying to use this tactically today, you probably would try and put some sort of sight on it, so fair enough. First, I recoiled at the leather-wrapped bits, because I'm probably becoming mildly famous for whinging about things wrapped around guns in games now. But here, it actually makes a little bit of sense. So the leather wrapped around the forend,
Or a grip,
or
right?
barrel, is actually the sling, which seems to have been severed and has just been wrapped around. And certainly for gripping, is that the rest of it, by the look of it, has been wrapped around one of the bipod legs so that he can use it as a vertical grip. And holding the bipod leg like that has been an accepted way of hip-firing light machine guns historically. Not that you normally would hip-fire a light machine gun, but it did happen. So, an interesting one, but a little bit of a silly one, I think.
Oh my god, Zero's gun? Really?
What's that?
This looks like, yeah, this Zero's gun looks way too like...
Is that meant to be an F2000? Jesus Christ. I'm somewhat taken aback by the SC3000K, and after a short break on the Tom Clancy wikis, I have discovered why this looks very removed from the FN F2000 that it's obviously trying to be. And it's because this is partly based, at least,
I have been
the
wonderful.
name is taken directly from the Splinter Cell games. They have
This is actually
kind
really
of
interesting.
merged
I've
that
like never
design,
like
which
thought
was
about
very
this.
reminiscent of the F2000 with the real F2000 It's a bit uncanny valley.
there's a guy gun
We've
from
got
like
a couple
Halo or
of these.
something.
It's pretty close, but every little bit of it is
Yo, free with
also
the 5
interesting,
gifted.
markings
Yo.
on the side, part of which say
Oh man, thank you for the 5
300
gifted, bro. I appreciate that, dude.
Now the F2000 has kind of
thank you, bro.
stalled a bit.
Always showing love to the channel,
there was
bro.
no 300 blackout variant or modular system of parts.
That's 5 new people getting the Athieno charm.
So not only is this
5 new people
partly a
becoming
fictional weapon,
strong
it's chambered
billionaires.
for a cartridge that the real F2000 has never been chambered for.
Wait, I'm actually really curious to see what he says about the Schminka. I'm very curious to see.
Right. This
Has it already been 2 years since the Jonka rework? Really? That's crazy, bro.
must be our Russian operator friend again with his immaculately manicured nails. Oddly, we've now got a strictly prototype, as far as I know, Mosin Nagant-derived grenade launcher with a revolving thing on it. I don't know a great deal about this.
You know the thing about the
no,
Chonka though is the Chonka's strictly a reworked operator, so like, yeah, I think his realism just got like cut in half.
How it functions is quite fun that they've gone for the bouncing grenade thing. I'm not aware of a real life grenade launcher with that functionality. The damage that the round would sustain bouncing off a wall might well cause a problem.
Let's go very
It won't
ox.
necessarily bounce the way you want it to bounce, and it might get damaged. It might initiate early. It might not.
The Chonka
initiate
would
at all.
actually
so that is
be
really more of what I
OP
expect to
as
see
heck
in
if he was
Doom
like a
than
3
in
armor
Rainbow
or a 2
Six.
armor.
And as you've probably spotted, if you recognise this as a Mosin rifle, this is a bolt action. So he's putting in a blank round, a grenade, a blank round, a grenade, but then it's cycling itself like it's
Oh, I just
so really
wait.
a
I
very
just
cumbersome.
wait. What? Wait. Am I looking at that right? Wait, he put like a bullet and a Schminka grenade in there.
Cycling itself like it's self-loading. So really a very cumbersome, awkward system. So I can sort of see why they've fudged it.
Oh, I never like. I don't know. I've always thought he was only putting grenades in there. I think he was actually putting an actual bullet in there.
Here and made it work more like a Milkor MGL, but with a Russian-looking skin. It's essentially what we've got here.
Damn, 3 years already, Hennessy. Okay, you can't go wrong with Glass Sniper, bro. Glass Sniper is literally like.
This curious-looking bullpup rifle, OTS-03, is a correct designation, also known as the SVU. It's a Dragunov design. The grip looks absolutely enormous, and I suspect that's not right. Of course, being a bullpup sniper rifle, this is meant to be a somewhat precision weapon. So as we see some mildly nauseating upside down rappelling there, we've got here a curious optical sight arrangement, a Russian sight, and it's unusual because it doesn't have a full frame. The intent there will be to increase field of view, so you don't have a bar of metal blocking what
Glass would be great. I don't know. I think making him a 3-speed is a little something else.
Magnifier. What's slightly
I think it's
unusual
okay, though.
is that it's a thermal sight. A magnifier for your reflex sight, but it's in this case also thermal. Something that is definitely weird is that the thermal effect only exists in part of the field of view, whereas a genuine thermal sight, they fill the field of view. So I don't know quite why it's like picture-in-picture view for this. It's just the artistic decision they've taken. Another really bizarre choice for a game like this is.
I wonder if
this
anybody
Sarich.
actually owns one
Not
of these
something I'm
guns.
particularly familiar with. What it boils down to is this was one of, I suppose, many mock-ups for a concept rifle. It didn't get to the point of a firing design, as far as I know. It's certainly sort of sunk without trace. .308 is incorporated in the name of this version, 308 Winchester being the civilian equivalent of the 7.62
Winchester, that's not a gun, that's not a name I've
because
heard.
this was meant to be for the export market as a self-loading.
Wait, the guy just hip fired through the barricade and killed
Typically
someone.
what we see from countries from the former Soviet Union, when they do that, they use NATO calibers because those are the ones that are increasingly widespread elsewhere.
Dude, what the fuck are these clips, bro? What are these clips that they find? Do they just go through like the freaking copper subreddit and like
the world? But this is a what you might call a paper gun. Doesn't exist.
What are these clips, bro?
As a non-firing mock-up that really does look like the Starship Troopers Marita, but an original design and not actually a an existing gun. So I'm kind of torn on it. I kind of feel like it shouldn't really be in the game, but on the other hand, it's quite an interesting real-life reflection of a sci-fi aesthetic. So.
Holy crap. Where did they get these friggin' clips from, bro? Could they not find any other clip, bro?
Our old friend, the much maligned SA-80 in L85A2 form, at least that's what it says. Here is an L85A2.
Wow.
And I think you can see...
Bro's even got that 1.5 scope. That's crazy. Looks pretty realistic, honestly. Like a long barrel on.
By looking at it, there's something not quite right about this one. What I'm interested in here is how squat and foreshortened this thing looks compared to the real thing. Although, as a bullpup, this is a very squat-looking weapon to begin with, it has a full-length 20-inch barrel in it. This thing...
Yeah, I do realize the barrel is a lot
has
shorter on the...
shortened barrel. And I think, looking at it, the proportions are wrong too. I think the length of the receiver, position of the magazine well, they all look slightly off to me. So whereas a lot of the details look pretty good,
it definitely looks like an SMG.
Stuff isn't quite right. Perhaps I'm hyper aware of this because it's quite an infamous design and a British weapon, but I don't think I've yet seen a game get the SA-80 fully right. But it's still a treat to see it depicted nonetheless. Now, I happen to
it's
know,
a treat to see
that
it.
This was provided to the SAS operator, or one of them, which those of you who know the history of this will find amusing, because quite famously the SAS don't use the SA-80 as a rule in this setting. Hostage rescue / counter-terrorism. The SA-80 is perhaps not the best choice for that application
Jesus,
anyway.
this aim, bro, is atrocious.
Would bring the handguard.
Bro, they gotta have. I don't know where they're getting the clips from.
The Daniel Defense rail system that we see here, and this version that I'm looking at is fitted with. I was going to say the standard iron sights, but the standard configuration of LMG and other games has always been with an optical sight. For, dare I say, serious use, you aren't going to be equipping the iron sights. In this case, of course, it's...
Dude, I would love an LA in real life.
You can then unlock and upgrade your SA-80. There's an interesting kind of dichotomy between how the SA-80 is seen by the sort of firearms enthusiast community and the military community as perhaps not the best in the world, versus the sort of exotic nature of it, the distinctive look. The SA-80 is somewhat idiosyncratic, firstly in how the controls are laid out, and secondly in how those are used in the standard British military drills. You would expect anyone to follow the standard normal safety
precautions wearing gloves
and drills.
Well, yeah, I mean,
with the weapon.
You don't want to get fingerprints, you don't want to get germs on the...
don't do that. And in this case, we see a magazine change. We even see the magazine catch get depressed, which is good. And then, rather than using
I'm eating
this catch
oatmeal.
Here, the character is simply pulling the charging
super
handle to the rear
freaking bland oatmeal. I usually put bananas in here, but all the bananas are green right now.
Should see.
I gotta wait for them to get yellow. They're all like long and hard right now too.
Which is what I think I'm seeing there. The other thing I'm spotting is another, like the C1, very
but yeah, I just put cinnamon in here for flavor.
Rail. Now the SA-80 obviously does have
still bland as fuck right now though.
It's this. Much chunkier.
Whatever I get gains from it anyways.
Similar shape. It's a lot thicker. It's a lot more robust. So in other words, the rail is completely different. This is just a bent bit of sheet metal that's been stuck.
I feel guilty. I didn't do my cardio today.
Sophisticated than that. Minor bit of trivia as well is that
I've been very inconsistent on my cardio.
Is actually the NATO standard, but virtually no one.
I gotta get this chub off my cheek.
What became the NATO standard ultimately was the Picatinny accessory rail that we see. Well, apart from anything else, on this handguard and on countless other weapons. Britain did what it thought was the right thing in adopting the NATO dovetail, and then the rest of the world, the rest of NATO went, yeah, we don't really like that. And it was probably the right choice, to be fair.
Rainbow Six on the phone, like
Thanks
mobile.
very much for watching the Firearms of Rainbow Six.
It wasn't bad a video, to be honest. I think it's a well-spoken guy. He knows what he's talking about, and yeah, put Siege into the dirt. W video.